Hello and welcome to All For Women's Football. We are back. It's Lower League Lingo, and it should be an FA Cup special, but today is an FA Cup plus John Foster special. We will explain more about that a little bit later on. But this is second round of the FA Cup. I'd like to say it's done and dusted, but old Storm Burt came in, caused a few problems, a little bit of havoc. We're waiting for Storm Ernie to come in and do the same next week. We shall see how we get on there. But interesting to see how it's gone. So there are some teams in the hat for round 3 that obviously have not yet had their match. That will all be going on next Sunday. And we are very much looking forward to seeing the conclusion of round 2. But enough of that waffle. We are back here and we have got 2 fabulous people. As you might have noticed, young Gareth has dipped out on us again. He's got other pressing issues that he needed to be dealing with this evening. So we have gone and got ourselves another replacement, and he's back again. Hopefully this time, not live from Heathrow. Matt, how are you getting on? He's not even... Let's try that again, shall we? Here we go. There you go. You're unmuted now.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yes, I'm all right. Thank you very much. And of course, as ever, we got John Foster just sitting there over in the corner. How are you doing, young man?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you. Good to see Matt back on the show as well.
Indeed, it's going to be a banger. And speaking of bangers, let's go straight in. Let's stop mashing about with all this. We have got 5 big FA Cup matches that we are going to be running through. We're going to start with the FA Cup, and then we're just going to leave John to his own devices at the end to crack on with what it is that he's decided to go on about. And we are kicking off, as you can see right here. We still maintain the old north to south way in which we play it. Accrington Stanley, who are they? Well, I think Matt can tell us. Matt, what was it that struck your eye about Accrington Stanley 1, Huddersfield Town 2?
I think, the first thing, I'll get onto it later. I can replace your question mark. I know the attendance because that was tweeted out. That was 623. I'll get onto that later because that's actually in my, my speech and my notes. But I think what stuck out about this, Accrington Stanley are in Tier 6. They rebuilt their squad over the summer. They've recruited very well in terms of players, in terms of a manager and staff as well. And they're going very well, actually, in their league. In all competitions, including cups, they've actually won 14 out of 15. And the loss obviously came at the weekend to Huddersfield, that are 2 leagues above and are sat 5th in Division 1 North. So this, for me, was a very good result. You look at it there and obviously, 2-1, you think, actually, if I was sort of, an Accrington fan or somebody even looking as I am from the outside, that's actually a very, very good result for a team that is 2 divisions below. And I think with that, like I say, a brand new team from Accrington is still looking to gel. Huddersfield have obviously just come down as well from Tier 3. So this wasn't an easy game at all. And I think, I was reading a few comments beforehand just in terms of on the FA Cup page. And there's a lot of people thinking that would be a heavy scoreline in Huddersfield's favour. And it wasn't at all. And I think Accrington, from what I read from the match report, had, plenty of chances to get an equaliser and were unlucky not to get an equaliser. So I think credit there where it's due. They've played it at the men's ground at the WAM Stadium. 623 people attended. The weather wasn't great. I know you mentioned a little bit of a storm. And yeah, I think, like I say, from an Accrington point of view, that's a really pleasing result. Obviously, from Huddersfield point of view, like I say, 5th in the 4th tier. Unfortunately, they went down from Tier 3 last year, and I think they've had to rebuild as well, getting a few recruits. But I think they'll probably be happy, obviously, with the win. Keeps them ticking over. It's a break from the league. They'll be looking to probably do better than where they are in the league at the minute. But I think that's a different story. But I think, from an Accrington point of view, that's a real success story and something that stuck out to me when looking at the results, thinking, wow, fair play. They've had a very good goal there. They can now focus on the league. It's the first defeat, like I said, in out of 15 games, and it's looking good for them.
Absolutely is. And again, like I said, I was very intrigued by it because obviously some people would come onto here and pick a side that had maybe done incredibly well in terms of beating a side from above. But again, really good that you've come on to highlight a side that may not have managed to get the win, but worked incredibly hard and are doing incredibly well this season. So yeah, Accrington against Huddersfield was a good win for Huddersfield. It does mean that Huddersfield will be moving on to round 3, and they will be facing in 2 weeks' time Sunderland, and that'll be an away game. That's 5th in the Women's Championship against 5th in Division 1 North. 2 tiers the difference. Be very interesting to see how it goes. You just mentioned about Accrington being tier 6. Be very interesting. There was a 2-tier difference between Accrington and Huddersfield. Now it's Huddersfield in the underdog spot as opposed to being the ones expected to win. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how that one plays out. Right then, we are going to go and see, well, if we're lucky, if the buttons work, which they don't appear to be. Try that again. Come on now. Why aren't you working? Oh, goodness. This is what we like to call, this is live TV for you, but it's recorded. There we go. We'll try that one. This is Rugby Borough against London. No, not London. That is Peterborough United. There is a London coming up, so don't worry. I've not gone entirely mad, and they're blue as well. And it's very tiny on my screen as opposed to yours. But yeah, Rugby Borough 7 with Peterborough United 1. This is a Midlands match, which must mean it's John Foster. So, John, what about the 7-1 did you enjoy the most?
Well, you had a go at me last week, Barry, for choosing a 0-0 draw.
I just said it was a bit off.
I'm just going to choose this one because it's got goals. No. Yeah, look at it. It was obviously an entertaining game, which we'll get into throughout the next few minutes. But just a little word on Peterborough first. You know, they're going through a bit of a tough run of fixtures currently, and that's kind of reflected in their results. They won Billericay Town on penalties in the previous round, but the last 2 league games they've lost. Yes, it was against Leafield and Northampton, so they were quite tough games. However, Peterborough started the season so well and now lost 3 on the trot. So obviously they need to bounce back quite soon if they still have aims to get promoted, which I'm sure that they do. Rugby Borough, on the other hand, is they've won the last 4 games, and I'm pretty sure that they've scored something like 25 and conceded none in those 4 games, which is absolutely incredible in such a tough league. Rugby went into this game strong in regards to starting 11. Their captain played and started, and she actually scored she scored a few goals, and also along with number 7 Angelina Nixon, she was one of the top 10 scorers in the league as well. So Rugby definitely weren't underestimating Peterborough, and they did put out a very strong starting 11. Peterborough made just one change from their last outing, and that was Aguirre, who came in for Niamh Connor. So Peterborough and Rugby both going in pretty much with their strongest 11. And it was actually Mosby who put the home team ahead just after 5 minutes. I can see that you got all the times on there, as always, Barry. So thank you for that. You can just jog my memory as I'm talking through it. And the assist was their number 7 as well. So yeah, a great start for Rugby, and I'm pretty sure it went up to 4-0 at half time, and then scored 3 after half time as well. But some great goal scorers there. Mia Moncaster is obviously a well-known player in Tier 3, and it's just a shame that Ellie Mae Bale scored in stoppage time, and maybe not a little bit earlier. I think the tweet made me laugh. It says Peterborough was pulled one back, and I just feel that pulled one back in the 92nd minute didn't really go a long way. But a great result for Rugby. A game that Peterborough won't be too disheartened about, if I'm honest. I think Peterborough wanted to go into this game thinking that they was going to win. I think they could probably put a plan together where they could probably hold Rugby for a little time. But no, I think it's just come at a bit of a tough time now, Peterborough, because this defeat on the back of 2 important league defeats as well. So Rugby have now got Mancunian Unity in the next round, which I believe is on the 8th of December, while Peterborough have got Worcester in the league. So I think that's definitely a game that Peterborough will want to bounce back in. I'm not too sure what Rugby next running is regarding the league, but FA Cup wise, they're still looking quite strong.
Absolutely, indeed. And then, of course, John there stealing my job like to do. So not too much to tell you there, other than the fact that Mancuni Unity are called 5th in the Northwest Women's Regional Football League at the moment. And that will be a very tough game for them indeed, a 2-tier difference again. So it'll be very, again, they're all going to be interesting. I might keep saying that after every game. It'll be very interesting to see how that one works out. Okay. Over to me, and again, not the largest scoreline you're ever going to see, but we're talking about underdogs and giant killings and all of that type of thing. This was that. It was an absolute stormer of a result. London Seaward, bless them, have not won a game in the league since the opening game of the season when they defeated Chesham United 2-1. Since then, they've lost pretty much every game. The only games they've won have been cup games, and it's as a result of that they obviously made it into the second round of the FA Cup, and they travelled not too far across London into the Bedfont Sports Club with 401 people sitting there to watch the mighty Brentford. Now, if you're a fan of the channel, you may have watched earlier on in the season, we had a really quite good interview. It had nothing to do with the fact that I was asking the questions because I didn't write them, but this was one that Laura did, and it was a superb show. Gave Brentford women the chance to come on and talk to us a little bit about what they're doing and how they're starting to grow. They are 16 matches unbeaten with this result. They haven't lost a game this season. I'm pretty sure they've won them all, which is quite some going. And today we're looking at the fact they defeated London Seaward. Now, London Seaward, for those who don't know, currently sat 11th, so just in the top part of the relegation zone of the Division 1 South East. So they are a Tier 4 side, but Brentford currently sat, I think, in second of the London and South East Regional Division 1 North. So again, it's that old saying, it's a 2-tier difference between the two teams. And on this occasion, doesn't seem to have made a huge amount of difference. London Sea would have struggled, as I've mentioned. They really are not quite doing as well as I think they would like to be doing this year, and they are on the cusp of potentially getting relegated if they can't get a little bit of form together. But Brentford are the opposite. So although there's a 2-tier gap, really, they could well be meeting each other again next season in the league, because they very well could end up in the London and South East Regional Premier together. Might not. London Seaward could turn it around and do incredibly well. But this game for me, massive, because we all love a giant killing. It's great to see them. And this one was exactly that. 85 minutes gone. So it's a 0-0. Would have been me, perhaps, coming on here today going, look at this 0-0 penalty shootout victory. Didn't happen. It was just a 1-goal win. Nikki Woods, I tried to find out some information about goals scored, but at full time was playing games with me. It did sort of say that Nikki Woods had scored 10, didn't give me any appearances, and there were 2 other people that had 28 and 29 goals, and I think somehow that might be a little bit mischievous because there wasn't any games played, so I'm not entirely sure. But either way, she's done incredibly well this season. I know that she has netted a few, and I just felt that I really wanted to give these guys their flowers because they haven't really been mentioned throughout the entirety of the 15 shows that we have done. London Sea would have sort of had a mention. But yeah, I just really wanted to say well done to them. And they've got, interestingly enough, another little London derby to come in the next round because they will be facing and hosting Fulham. I'm not going to go too deep into the Fulham story because we might be seeing them a little bit later. But either way, that would be, again, a side that is just 1 tier higher than them. And would be a very, can you guess what I'm going to say? Interesting match. So we shall see. Matt's like, yeah, he's going to do it. All of them. What can I say? It's how I roll. So there we go. So Brentford, congratulations. I'd say probably the upset of the round so far, because obviously there's more to come. Right. Back up to the north then. Durham Sestria against Chester Street Town. A 1-1 draw. A penalty shootout. But which way did it go, Jet? Oh, I've ruined it. I was going to say, which way did it go, Cammy? And I did the Cammy. Never mind. I'm going to sit here a little bit upset with myself. Matt, what happened?
Oh, is this the part when I say I don't know, Jeff? No, I'm joking.
No, this is the way you say don't quit your day job, Barry. That's what you say there.
Well, that too. You do a good job, Barry. So it's all good. We'll let you off. So Chester Street and Durham. Obviously Durham sitting a division above in the National League North. They are currently, I would say, mid-table, 7th out of 12. It's maybe if we're being pedantic and maths, it should be 6. But anyway, so mid-table in the league above. Chester Street are the Northeast Regional Prem. They're absolutely flying. They are unbeaten. They've won 6 and drawn 1. So this for me was a bit of a shock result. Obviously, a local derby and everybody's up for it. But yeah, so seeing this, I fully expected that Chester would go through to next round, especially being at home as well. But a big credit to Chester Street. Obviously, Jenny Ashton, their top scorer. I believe she's on 6 and 6 as well in the league. So, a real threat for them, and she's having a great season so far. And I think this was something where, again, it's like we've talked about the underdog, and obviously my earlier game was the underdog didn't win. Here, they have won. And I think, having come up against Durham at my old club many a times, it's not an easy place to go, and they're a very physical side, a very tricky side to play against. And credit must go to Chester Street for that. I think it's magnificent that they've actually made the 3rd round of the FA Cup. Thrown in there with championship teams, and I think that'll give them a real boost. Obviously, like I say, in the league they're going well. It is very close. I think there's 2 or 3 points in between 2nd and 3rd between Alnwick and Pontyland. So it's a real sort of it's nice to have a break, I think, for some teams away from league action, to put your all into the cup, and obviously to get the equalising goal and to take it to penalties and to beat them on penalties against the local rival in their own ground is, stuff that dreams are made of. So yeah, really, really impressive that for Chester Street, and great result. Good to see.
Completely agree. And for Chester Street, it will be a big old game for them. They will either be, I believe, at home to either Stoke, who are 5th at the moment in the Northern Premier, or they could be facing Loughborough Lightning, who are 4th at the moment in Division 1 Midlands. So either way, they've got to go and play a team that is higher than them. But again, it could be a home game, and that is sometimes a bit of a leveler when it comes to these sorts of things. So yeah, very, very good. Big hope for Chester Street Town. It was interesting. We had a little debate the other day as to when the FA Cup would no longer be allowed to be lower league Lingo. At what point do you give it in? And my point is, if you've got WNL sides and below in the FA Cup and you want to talk about them, I think you should, because that's the lower league Lingo. It's them that we're focusing on, not necessarily their opponents. Although granted, if you're in the WNL and you get absolutely pumped by one of the WSL teams, we probably won't mention you for your own dignity, really, more than anything else. So there we go. But yes, again, Chester Street, Stoke or Loughborough Lightning, that could be a fun game. Just changed up what I said there. Very nice of me. So this is an absolute doozy of a match, by the way. Now, Royston Town, had to talk about them again. I was really struggling again this week to try and work out exactly what I wanted to talk to you about, because there has been some absolute brilliant results, and there's also been a couple where you've gone, not too sure about that. And I did absolutely want to just mention as well, a shout out before we get into this, Queen's Park Rangers and Saltdean United. They will have to play again. And it's absolutely bizarre. Do any of you know the reason why QPR and Saltdean will have to play again? Their match was abandoned. Any of you heard a little rumble as to what happened?
Nope. Enlighten us.
Blew my mind. Again, old Hurricane Bert or Storm Bert getting himself involved. The dugout collapsed. Just went, apparently. So they had a load of people trying to fix it. They couldn't fix the dugout. Wasn't happening. So for health and safety reasons, they had to stop it. Now, QPR at the time were 1-0 up. So, I mean, if that turns into another one and Saltdean end up being 1-0 up, that could absolutely be a, well, would you believe it? It'd probably be quite interesting, wouldn't it? I just think that is a absolutely huge game. with that going on. So I did find that quite interesting. But this one was unbelievable. Fulham against Royston. So this is Fulham, who are doing quite well in the London and South East Regional Premier. They are a Tier 5 side. They are also facing, obviously, a Royston, who are in the Eastern region and top of their league, which is, again, Tier 5. So this was two sides that were playing a game, and the purpose of that game for them was level playing field, but in different leagues. And I always find that a good test, I think, for other teams to have that opportunity to play these matches against sides of a similar level, but ones that are not necessarily teams that they are likely to have played before. And this is absolutely one of those games. Fulham, we've spoken about them at the start of the season. They had this big match where they absolutely smashed it in front of Craven Cottage. Didn't do that this time. I was intrigued as to whether they would take it there. They didn't. They played it at their training ground, which I thought was, again, a very different place to go and play your football. But they did that, and Royston attended. Not got a clue what the attendance was there. Can't help you with that one. But Royston were having the time of their life. 1-0 up after just 9 minutes, and then they made it 2. So at this point, 2-0 up away from home. They've been doing incredibly well in the league. I think they lost their first game recently against Luton, which was quite, I can't stop saying it, quite interesting, because genuinely there'd just been an absolute storm up until that point. And that little defeat, you just wondered, would it get into their psyche at all? But 2-0 up, looking like they're doing great. But just before half-time, Megali Mendes gets that goal. It's 2-1 going in, and that just makes that half-time team talk just that tiny bit easier for the Fulham managers, because it's a case of just get back into it. However, Laura Mills won't have none of it. She is a fantastic striker, by the way, Laura Mills. She does not muck about in front of goal. 51 minutes gone, wallop, 3-1. You'd be forgiven if you're Fulham now to be thinking that's the end of that. Didn't happen. 5 minutes later, you've had a 3G. This is 3E. We got Ella Tagliavini with a 56-minute goal. Then we got another Ella Newman in the 74th minute. And with 2 minutes to go, again, a late goal. Just as you think we might be going to penalties, Ellie Olds, 88th minute. Again, what drama. And this is what I love. Not just about women's football, men's football. It's irrelevant. Just about football. These are the stories that you get. The fact that there's people here that have turned up to watch an FA Cup game like this, and Fulham have come out of that the other side. And let's be honest, they probably did not think at half-time that they were quite going to be in the position they were in. So, massive one for Fulham. They've done incredibly well. As I said, they will be away to Brentford, who are a league below them. So you would expect and be wondering if Fulham will be the side that are likely to win that. But you just never know. As I said, Brentford undefeated. They are absolutely going to be an incredibly difficult side to beat. But yeah, I had to take my hats off to Royston as well. Possibly the tie of the round in terms of pure entertainment, back and forth. I know Moneyfields was another one that I wanted to mention. They were 1-0 up. And I thought doing incredibly well, but Cheltenham Town came back to win 2-1 in the second half there as well. So just a couple there that I wanted to shout out, but that one in particular was the main one. And now, ladies and gentlemen, having had a wonderful time talking about the FA Cup, we take a break from our regular programming to go to the Division 1 Midlands, where John Foster decided that he didn't want to talk about another Midlands club in the FA Cup. Instead, he wanted to talk a little bit about the WNL. Now, listen, it's not a dictatorship here. People can talk about whatever it is they want to talk about. But, Mr. Foster, I will say this. There better be a really good reason as to why we've gone for this one. So state the case, sir. Why have you chosen Notts County smashing 5 past Solihull Moors?
Well, there was an abundance of talent across the Midlands, but it wasn't many FA Cup games. There was quite a few league games across the Midlands. I did watch Wolves. So Wolves won Kelsa, which was a good game, but I didn't want to keep talking about Kelsa. Leafield had a great game away to Norwich, but I didn't want to keep talking about Leafield. So I thought let's spice it up a little bit and talk about a team who was actually creeping up the league very, very quietly in Notts County. We'll start off with Solihull Moors first. Obviously, we know that they've had a few troubles off the pitch this year. If you're reading your social media, you'll know the reasons behind that. But a lot of the talk before this game was about the new manager that Solihull Moors have appointed and new coaching staff as well. So they've had an interim team for the last few weeks, but it was Joe Kirkland and Trevor Sutcliffe who became the permanent manager going into this game. And they've also signed a player on match day as well. That was Annie Clayton, who's formerly of Birmingham development team, and she went straight into the starting 11 as well. But it was Notts County who obviously opened up the scoring, and they never really looked back, did they? Jessie Knott from a corner after 17 minutes. Lily Stevenson made it 2-0 on the 42nd minute, taking it to 2-0 at half time. Laura Vine made it 3-0 shortly after the break, with Jessie Knott getting her second of the game after 65 minutes I've got. Lily Stevenson also got a brace just before full time, which were her first two goals of the season as well for the club. So finished 5-0, and Solihull Moors are towards the bottom of the league, not quite there, sitting 11th. Lincoln City are the team that's not got any points. Unfortunately, Solihull Moors aren't looking great. And it's kind of saved Worcester a little bit. If you remember at the start of our shows, about 15 shows ago, I was really praising Worcester, but they couldn't quite get any points on the board. All of a sudden, you look at the league table now, and Worcester have got 7, and I think Solihull Moors have just got the 3, and Lincoln City have got 0. So Solihull Moors have got a bit to do, but now that they've got this new manager in place, hopefully that can steady the ship a little bit, and they can go from there. Notts County, on the other hand, I think they're sitting 5th now in the league, which is remarkable, really, when you look at the strength in depth in that league. Closely followed by Barnsley. Barnsley is going to be pushing for the top 6, and so is Bolmere. So it's going to be a good battle to see who finishes best of the rest, which I would pretty much call 5th and 6th. So yeah, Notts County doing very well, and fair play to them, because it's not easy to win 5-0 away from home in this league.
No, absolutely. And as you said, it's well documented what's happening with Solihull at the moment. But as John has already mentioned, it's quite nice, because the last time John made us look at this table, there was only 2 changes at the top and everything else was just equal. So it was very pleasurable to be able to put some green and red arrows all the way through this. Northampton Town have jumped up to the top of the table, having played the same amount of games as Leafield Athletic, but having scored a goal difference of 10 goals more. Therefore, Leafield and Peterborough both dropped down. Notts County have swapped places with Boldmere St Michael's, and Worcester City obviously get a little bit of a reprieve there as they have pulled themselves out of the relegation zone. Solihull Moors have dropped in, and as you can see, although they have won a game and drawn a game, they have had a point deducted, and that was to do with a discipline charge. So not entirely sure what happened there, but clearly a little bit of a discipline problem at some point has cost them to lose a point. So there we are. There we go. Listen, we are massively on fire and massively on time today, boys. We might nearly have an almost half an hour show, which was, if you believe it or not, actually the original plan all along, but they just ended up being a little bit longer. So there we are. We are, however, still going to run through our match of the weekend, the thing to look forward to. So, Mr. Foster, where should the Midlanders be averting their beady eyes to this weekend?
I've gone for Sutton Coldfield versus Leafield, but this time it's for the Sutton Coldfield reason. Sutton Coldfield have got a brand new manager. If you remember on the show about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I think I opened the conversation by saying, let's address the elephant in the room, talking about Sutton Coldfield's manager. Will he get sacked or not, or will he still be at the club this time next month? And it appears that he hasn't, that he isn't. So Steve Benyon is now in charge, predominantly from the men's game, but I know him outside because he's bounced around the club. So I was very happy to see that appointment. So he's gone to Sutton Coldfield. I'm sure he's going to bring a couple of people in with him as well. And he's inheriting a great team there that's not performing very well at the moment. So he will quickly turn it around. There's no way Sutton Coldfield, with the talent that they've got, with the money that they've invested, they shouldn't be ninth. I think they are ninth or 10th. So they're ninth. So they will creep up the league. I don't think that they'll make much impact this season because I think it's too far gone. However, going into next season, they can really build something and push on from there.
Lovely. Okie dokie. Well, for me, I've chosen a cup match, which will possibly surprise a few people. But this is a cup match that's in the WNL Cup. So it's a quarterfinal of the WNL Cup. And I've chosen one between #United and Real Bedford. And the reason why I've chosen this is because obviously # are sat currently second via goal difference against Ipswich Town in the Southern Premier, whereas Real Bedford are currently one tier below in the Division 1 South East, and they are top of the Pops. Now, they've not lost a game. They've drawn a few, but they've not lost any in the league. They've won all their games. And I'm just genuinely really intrigued to see how those two teams match up against each other. Because if Ipswich go on to win the league, which, if we're being brutally honest, looks like is going to happen in the Southern Premier, and if Real Bedford go on to get promotion, again, they're going to be in the same league again next season. And Real Bedford have got a real appetite to be trying to make it through the leagues. As I say, they came up from the Eastern region last season. They're doing incredibly well, having made some squad changes here. So for me, I'm sorry, I shall find it really interesting to see which team comes out on top there. Plus, it's a WNL Cup. Are they going to be as bothered? So is that an open door potentially for Real Bedford to take advantage of a # side that might not be too fussed? Or are # out there looking for every bit of glory they can get? Honestly, it's going to be absolutely amazing to watch. So that's my one, Mr. Matthew Crane. Northerners, hear ye. Where should they go?
Yeah, so mine's actually a cup game as well, and I was looking at FC St Helens, who are tier 6 in the Southern Division. It's split into two, so it is the Northern Division, but it's divided into North and South. Playing Cheadletown Stingers, who got promotion last year and sit top of Division 1 North, which is a massive, massive achievement. Cheadle don't have a very big budget at all. They've recruited very smartly in the summer. I think it's going to be an exciting game. I think this is the first time St Helens have been this far in the cup. They're going well in the league. They're currently second in their league. And they got a big 5-1 win in the last round of the cup against Poulton Vicks, who are, funnily enough, above them in the same league. So it was kind of like Poulton are flying in their league. They've won 12 out of 12. And then St Helens went and put 5 past them in the cup. So it just goes to show that although you can be going well in the league, the cup's a different kettle of fish. I think this will be really interesting. It's at St Helens ground. St Helens are solid at home. But like I say, Cheadle are really going strong in their league. And I don't think anybody expected them to be, fighting at the very, very top. So like I said before, credit to them. I think it'll be a really interesting game. Obviously, whoever comes out on top, makes round 4. We all know who enters round 4. It's a WSL team. So, I'm not going to say that will be the draw, but what a great success story that would be if one of those teams, whoever wins, could get a bigger side. But yeah, I think in terms of both of those, that'll be a great game at the weekend to look out for.
Absolutely. And that is a reminder that was Cheadle, not Chorley. Don't make the mistake that I made last week. It's not good for your soul. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have the pair of you. Absolutely wonderful. Cheers for joining us. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, do all of those sorts of things. But most importantly, just go and watch a match in the lower league. It's really very good. Take care, everybody. See you next time.